Yo, 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 what's up, y'all? It's your boy Big Mike in the building. Swish for real. I got my co-host with me, Boogie Bob. Boogie, how you living, man?
I'm doing good, getting yard work done, getting some chores done around the house, getting some naps in.
Ain't nothing wrong with naps, man. I heard when you sleep a little bit, it makes you grow taller. So anytime you can get some sleep, it's gonna get you taller for sure.
Well,
And what
retirement, you don't have to get up at a certain time or go to bed a certain time. So if you're tired, you like, I feel like a nap. Okay.
I can't wait to retire. I got a few years, well, a couple years. So when I get there, I'll let you know. And welcome back to the podcast. Our guy, our new best friend, Miranda,
What's
the
up?
Real Talk Nation, y'all. The Real Talk Nation. Woo, woo. Raise it up, man. How you been, bro?
Man, just trying to make it. Never an easy day these days, man. Especially spring and summer. High school basketball, summer basketball is crazy, and it's DJ season for me too, man. I don't know if I,
Oh, that's right.
man.
You
I'm
did tell us that last time you were on.
been it's been crazy with the bookings on that, but yeah, man, just staying busy,
Thanks. And speaking of high school basketball, here in North Texas, we have a lot of great players. And Paul's been privileged to watch that's probably mostly all of them, if not, just the whole gambit of them. We want to talk about the top North Texas high school prospects. And I want to start with you first, Boogie Bob, on your thoughts of what the top North Texas prospects for high school go. I mean, these guys could be either freshmen or seniors getting ready to go to college. And I'm pretty sure you had an opportunity to kind of research it, but give me your thoughts on the top North Texas high school basketball prospects.
Well, the I haven't some of the freshmen and sophomore. I don't remember the name, but North Crowley had a point guard when I hooked up with Paul. That was
Ozzie
he
Hayes.
he he was a heck of a point guard, number 22 for North Crowley. Of course, Denton Guyer always has players. Richardson usually has some players. Uh, the one that's kind of was at the forefront of my mind was Trey Johnson, who's played 1 year at Texas, and he'd be in the draft. They're forecasting he's going to be a top 5 pick this year. So uh, you've got some sons of players that are in the Dallas area, but the one I wanted to mention too, the the EBYL. We were talking before the show. The EBYL has a plethora. I'll let Paul hit on some of them, but not this year, but the following year, the Carlos Boozer twins
Yeah,
are coming out.
twins. Yeah,
So they here in North Texas?
They're
no,
not. No, they're not North Texas, but they'll be they'll be talked about like Cooper Flag is talked about right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
they both can hoop, which is amazing.
yeah. So I don't have any specific names. I didn't get out as much this year as the previous years, but and so uh, Paul probably has a few more names that he can talk about.
oh yeah,
Uh,
got plenty of them.
I'll turn it over to Paul.
I got you, man. Hey, I'm starting with the 26 class right now, and some guys. I like to tell everybody I got a lazy eye, Mike and Boogie Bob. When you catch that lazy eye, that means you're on the radar right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
These guys have been on the lazy eye watch for a while. Bryce Dixon of the Colony. Remember that name? This kid is a two-way player that puts a hard hat on every time he hits the floor, y'all. Biggest reason why the Colony had a big run last year. For the last 2 years in the playoffs. Cleve, my boy Coach Cleve is got a gem in this kid, man. I mean, he can shoot the mid range jumper, workhorse under the glass, man. Gets a lot of rebounds. Just fierce competitor. Keep your laser on him. Silas Rodriguez, state champ, man, for Denton Guyer. Dude was like killing in the state playoffs for the D2 in 6A last year, and biggest reason why they ended up winning the state championship. Shout out to him, man, because I'm telling you, dude is a bucket getter. He's Indian slash Puerto Rican.
Oh wow.
I still can't come up with a nickname for him, man. But and an assassin would be too easy to, because everybody's an assassin these days. But he just seems somewhere off, like dude's a killer, right? The dude can shoot, get you buckets, man, at any time. But the thing about him, and I don't know exactly where his recruitment is right now. But I get excited about bucket getters, man. This kid is a guaranteed bucket almost. I've never seen too many people stop him. And he doesn't look the part. He doesn't look like he can hoop. I'm gonna tell you, how they say, don't ever judge a book by its cover. When you go up against him, that's one of the guys that they mean. Don't judge the book by the cover, because he will put it in that hoop. I'm telling you, he'll scorch them nets, man. So remember that name, Silas Rodriguez. Trey Nunn is another shooter, man, out of Waxahachie. He's on the Puma circuit. But pedigree is strong, man, in the family. Daddy played at University of Texas back in the day, DJ Kelly. I don't know if you remember Deja Kelly, who was Bill a few years back. She just graduated from Oregon University, the Ducks, and she was at North Carolina for about 4 years prior to that. But Mama hooped, she coaches. Teresa Nunn, shout out to her. Kid can shoot the ball. He's going to be big for Waxahachie this season. If they're going anywhere, it's definitely because they're going to be riding his coattail to get that to the playoffs there. Another guy, man, Nehemiah Lawrence of Allen. Dude is a half pint of size, man. I don't know how tall he is right now. I might be wrong for saying how short he is right there. And how did JJ say it back there on Good Times? He's like Dynamite. TNT, baby. That kid, that little joker there, man, got an outside jumper with range. Can get to the cup anytime he gets ready. Just a baby bull, man, that gets to his spots, man. I'm telling you, Allen is going to be back real strong because of his play. He'll provide good, strong point guard play and defense. So I'm looking out for him. Theo Brandon is another one of my guys, another state champion that you got to pay attention to. He's out of Mansfield Summit. I know that's out in y'all neck of woods, man. I'm telling you, get out to see this kid play, man. Mansfield Summit will be one of the top teams coming back this year too. They were young last year, and they got another big kid on their squad, and I can't remember what his name was to life of me. I couldn't think of it today. But I went to see them in the Tuesday night leagues at Lake Ridge. Shout out to Lake Ridge. They have a summer league out there for high schools, and I got to see Carter High School. I got to see Lake Ridge. I got to see.
What about Kimball?
Kimball's not in that one.
Dang.
But
so what about the Twins that played against North Crowley last year?
What the Twins? Oh no, they're gone. They're from Allen. They graduated. They were seniors last year. Antoine and Antonio Shannon. They graduated. Yes, sir. They graduated. They're done.
Do you know where they're going? Do you know where they're going as far as college?
I can get that for you in just a moment. When we I'll get that for you. I'm not sure, being honest with you.
Yeah,
I don't see a whole lot.
The one brother could shoot the three like crazy.
They both could. It just one went crazy.
They reminded me a little bit of Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, he one took the V8. You remember that V8 commercial?
Yeah.
The tomato juice.
Yeah.
And he played like Superman. That's the one that was killing. It was crazy. The other one had always been the dude, and all of a sudden in the playoffs, and Antonio ended up taking it, or was it Antoine? I can't remember. Antoine, I think it was. But yeah. Hey, I want to get back to Theo Brandon right quick, y'all, because I'm telling you, we were talking about Halliburton, right?
Mm-hmm.
This kid reminds me of Halliburton. I'm going to go on and give it to you straight up, because I watched him the other night, and guess who he went against, y'all? Isaac Hayes. Now, Isaac Hayes was killing too. Don't get me wrong, But this guy here really stepped up, stole the show. He hit like about 6 or 7 buckets in a row.
Dang.
Yeah. You know what I don't like about today's game, too, by the way, sidestep right quick, y'all. Dudes that know that they are the dude for their team and they're trying to put up numbers against the other dude. Why aren't you guarding him? Like, if you want to be the dude,
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
back in the day, I'm the dude, but I don't want to guard. I'm not going to guard you, but I'm going to get my buckets and show that I'm the dude. Did you used to do that?
You should have. You probably were at the game. I didn't know it, but 3 years ago, Case and Wallace and Ryan and Griffin
For
with Richardson.
Yep.
And they were playing Lake Highlands, and Trey Johnson in the first game went off for like 34. And he said, "What do you think about Case and Wallace?" And his reply was, "He's got to guard me too."
Yeah.
And I went to the second game with Wild Dog and his son, and Case Wallace had 3 fouls in the first half trying to guard Trey Johnson.
Trey Johnson is an illegal lethal injection. Trust me when I tell you that. Dude.
Well, Ryan and Griffin hadn't come out yet, but Case and Wallace is playing for the Thunder now, and the Thunder traded up to get him. And Trey Johnson was lighting him up like he was an 8th grader. So that told me a lot about Trey Johnson. He's like, I may be a sophomore, but I'm a dog too.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like Case and Wallace couldn't score. He was known as a defender.
Yeah. Now,
Paul, what are your thoughts on Jermaine O'Neal committing to SMU?
I thought it was a great move. It definitely helps out SMU because the problem with SMU and all the previous coaches that they've had here, they just don't recruit Dallas kids well.
Yeah.
And to get those 2 kids, don't get me wrong, Jaden Toombs is a 6'10" kid that he's been solid. What does that mean, Boogie? What does that mean?
The NIL money. SMU don't have the NIL money yet.
Yeah, SMU got long money, period. And they didn't mind giving it out even when we were in school. So never mind.
Yeah, they are a log school. So
that's old money right there, man. That they got. Yeah. They can always keep that. But I think it was a good move for SMU to bring both of those kids in, man. They've been together since, I probably think like 6th grade, fifth or sixth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They know each other then.
Jermaine has been on top of that one for a minute. So, and he's done a great job bringing him up. I really, really, really like this move though for SMU because like I said, it's a point in the right direction as far as putting SMU in the mix with the Dallas kids. Because how can you be in this hotbed like Dallas and you can't get any kids? Help me understand that. And part of the problem was they weren't reaching out to those kids, and when they reached out, they waited. SMU's problem was they always waited, till everybody else jumped on them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a classic example.
So what about DBU? One of your favorite schools? Who are they bringing in?
I don't know yet, right? It was crazy is I'm getting ready to talk with them this weekend because they're coming off a Final Four loss. You know that in the national championship. They should have won.
Did
you guys see that loss? Did you hear about how they lost?
I think you told us about it last podcast.
Was it? Okay, I didn't know if it was that time or not. But yeah, they should have won that thing, man. But long story short, I'm sure they got everybody coming over there that now that they've been to the national championship. I got people in the streets running me down. Paul, let me talk to you about DBU, man. Can you get me in with the coach? Hey, man, they have a camp coming up, and actually it's this weekend at over there on the hill. Get yourself out there. If you are a D1 kid that's low D1, I'm gonna tell you this: why go to a low D1 just to say you went to D1 when you can go to a high D2 school like DBU and have a chance to actually win a national championship instead of going to a D1 school to where you'll never, ever, ever, ever see the lights of being in I don't even think you'll be able to get into a tournament game, on D1 if you go on some of these low schools. You
Yeah,
know,
we used to call that PT.
yeah. What's that?
Do you want bench time or playing time?
Well, no, that's not bench time. That's not. No, I'm still talking different levels from that. I'm saying, why go to a D1 school just to say you went to a D1 school when you got a chance to compete for a national championship on a D2 level? Those low D1s, you don't have no chance to win against them high D1s. You know, North Carolinas and Arizonas and Gonzaga, Baylor's, and all that. You know, some of you pop them every now and then, right? Who just won the national championship in college last year? I don't even remember who won it.
Florida. Wasn't it Florida?
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's a big time school. Now with this NIL money now, ain't none of them lower schools going to beat these high schools, these top schools. Now, one of those big schools is going to always win from here on out.
So let me ask you a question about Faith Family in regards to local basketball, of course, high school. What are your thoughts on that program? Because they got two kids going, one to, I think both of them going TCU. Caden Edwards and Cameron Barnes are headed to TCU.
Caden Edwards was a Duncanville player. Bug, that's Bug.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Both of them went to Duncanville.
Yeah.
Cameron and Caden.
Yeah. Cameron's transferred from Ole Miss. Good move for him. 6'9" kid, 6'10" kid. Here's an interesting story about them. I remember when he was in the 7th grade, I went to cover, because I'd be in the gyms, man. I went to see them play in a championship game, Bird against McAllen, DeSoto, Duncanville Bird, and they were at Ron Holland and Cam Barnes was in on DeSoto West, right?
Mm-hmm.
The top guy was Cameron Barnes back then. Ron was that man.
Well, he's a power forward. What is his height?
I don't know how much he grew right now, but he was 6'10" when he left Duncanville.
Dang.
So I think he grew another couple inches. I think they want to say that he's a 7-footer right now. And if he can be the player that we all knew he could be, you know what I'm saying, minus the injuries, because what hurt Cam was Cam always got hurt in high school. You start weights, man, your body starts doing different things, and you're not used to, being at a certain level strength-wise. Your body, you know what I'm saying? And his body never really caught up with, the work that he had to put in to get to the next level. I think he's there now. I hope he is with great people. Cameron's a great kid, man. You guys would absolutely love it. But going back to Faith Family, Faith Family has just made the move to Nike. I think it's EYBL, right?
Nice.
They're doing something. They're doing some kind of scholastic. And I got.
They started a new league. Oak Cliff Faith Family, they started with a new league where they don't have to play for the TASP anymore. Yeah, and they joined with Mount Verde and some of the other IMG Academy. So it's a national conference now, and that just happened a couple days ago.
Yeah. So be on the Coach Brandon Thomas, super guy, man, great coach. I don't know if you guys remember, he was at Cedar Hill. He's a former Kimball Knight. So you're okay. I think he was class of 90, 94 or 95, somewhere around there. But he went up to Chicago, won a couple of state championships as a coach up there, and then came here to Cedar Hill, and then had some success at Cedar Hill, and then went to Faith Family, and the rest is history. He's one of the best coaches. I've said that all along here in the state of Texas, man. And I'm telling you, I think it's going to be some big things.
They actually got a couple transfer kids from California.
They'll always get kids from out of the state now. Trust me. Because again, Dallas is considered the new nation, hotbed right now. Yes. And those dudes want to come here and say, I want to compete against them dudes because the college coaches are here. You know what I'm saying? They're coming here to watch them. So if you are a dude, you're wanting to be where they say all the other dudes are at. You know what I'm saying?
So there was a statistic in the Dallas Morning News. Players drafted in the top 10. It had Florida, California, and Texas.
Yes.
And out of the last 5 years, Dallas-Fort Worth area had as many people drafted in the top 10 as California and Florida.
No doubt, no doubt. See, we're not known as just a football state anymore. We're a basketball state now, and I love
Athletes.
hearing that. I love hearing that now. So, that's some awesome stuff right there, man. So, real excited about that.
Welcome on the panel, guys. I want to welcome in Wild Dog. What's going on with you, Wild Dog?
Hey, the teenager's driving now, so I was all Russell to go pick him up, and he was like, hold up, Dad. It's like, hold up, brother. What do you think about me driving myself up? I'm like, say less. Let me know. He said, I'm on my way. I'm like, safe travels. I'm for real prayer warrior, and it's all good. So he'd be walking in the next, 20 minutes or so.
Gotcha. And we're talking about I understand. We're talking about the top North Texas high school prospects for basketball.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, give us your thoughts on some of the top prospects, and then we can move on to the next topic.
Hey, at top of my list is, I'm down here. My former team captain, the dance team, the Maniacs, he's from Oak Cliff. So, my goodness. So, Davion Atkins and who else here? My apologies. And Cameron Lomax. That's who I wanted to make sure we got on the board for Faith Family Academy out of Oak Cliff. They're doing their thing, baby. And again, they on the national scene, and players are going to come from all over, whether they prefer Texas or if they don't like other programs, Faith Families in Oak Cliff is a definite option for them. And then, me, I'm country, so I wanted to make sure we didn't miss Austin Goosby, Goosby, out of Melissa, Texas. Well, that ain't Dallas-Fort Worth.
Bad boy. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. The Metroplex is expanded. So when you say Dallas-Fort Worth, that includes Frisco, McKinney, and Melissa's borders right there on McKinney.
They say 50 miles.
Texas. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So
a 50-mile circumference.
Yes.
Yeah, it's right there. So sometimes you don't know. It's like, we got so many towns, like, you in Urban. Where's Urban? It's like, okay, it's Dallas. It's like, it borders Dallas in between. Where you at? Okay, I'm right here. Oh, okay, yeah. You drive right through and don't even realize you left Dallas and then Urban.
Nice. Well, cool, man. I'm glad you were able to chime in on that. Huh?
Hey, Mike, couple guys we can tell you about right quick before we move on.
Yes, sir.
Do not forget about Ryan Hampton.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, Dynamic Prep. Go find out. Google Dynamic Prep. Find out. Get their schedule. You got to go see Jermaine O'Neal's team because Jermaine coaches them too, by the way, y'all. Yeah. And Ryan Hampton is I thought RJ was pretty good. This one here is going to be the truth. I can't see him not. I can't see him getting shorted. Another guy that I want to tell you guys about is it Terrell? I got to get this guy's name. I want to tell you first about the freshman. I said something in the pre-show before the show about this guy from Grand Prairie, 6'8" freshman at Grand Prairie High School, y'all. You got to go check him out. Felix Okam. That's Okam. I'm telling y'all now, the kid reminds me of a shy version of KD.
Yeah, I was going to mention to you, Wild Dog, earlier. Paul said we can get some press credentials to get in, and all we have to do is use our podcast to actually get into these games. So, but you have to go onto the website and actually put your information in and let them know, that you want to get a press credential, and they'll let you in. Am I correct on that, Paul?
Exactly. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So with the school district?
Yeah, because the TABC thing is next week. If you're trying to be in high school basketball and you're not at that spot, you ain't trying to be in high school basketball.
Thanks.
I'm gonna tell you that right now. The other guy I want to tell you about, I used to be an urban DFW guy, man, and our rivals was Showtime, Dallas Showtime, and the Dallas Mustangs. And the Dallas Mustangs, they always said I didn't give them enough love. So I'm out of the game right now. I got to give this Dallas Mustang guy some love. Shout out to Tony Johnson, Coach Rod Taylor, now Terrell Red Jackson. Remember this name. Dude is 6'8" right now, sophomore. And I don't know if you guys went to see Carter and Kimball last year play in the playoffs. You know, Kimball annihilated Carter because Carter was so young. But now they're getting ready to be the ones handing out the whoopings this year. I went to see them tonight. And Terrell Jackson is for real. I'm telling y'all, the guy is a rim protector. They got a dude named his nickname is called White Boy, Boogie Bob. But I'm telling you, his name is Amarion. What is it? Amarion Hunter, Deion Hunter's son. I don't know if y'all remember Deion Hunter from back in the day.
Yeah. Didn't he play for Atlanta? If I'm not mistaken.
I do believe so. I can't remember which one he went to. I know he was
Is DeAndre Hunter that played at Virginia?
No.
Deion.
Oh, Deion. Okay.
Yeah.
So this kid is the truth, y'all. Yeah, I know you're gonna hear several guys on the Twitters and the Instagram talking about him on it. I'm telling you right now, go see this guy. It's a guard. He hits shots. It's like he can flip a switch so quick on you with just buckets. You don't even realize it was a 2-point game. And all of a sudden, it's 12 to 14-point game now. That's the kind of dude that this guy is, man. And he can drop dimes too.
And he's going to Carter?
Yeah, Dallas Carter. Dallas Carter will be one of the best teams, no matter what classification you are, in the state of Texas next year. I'm telling you that right now. They are deep. And I mean, they play defense. They take charges. How many coaches are teaching charges these days?
Hey.
You don't take a charge in Carter, you coming out the game.
So that's going to prompt me at least to catch one game at their, because they have home games, right? Their gym is pretty
Love,
deep.
yes, sir. Yeah, another guy you got to get on the show, man. Lyndon Love is a stand-up dude, man. It's my guy. You know, we need to get you guys some of these coaches in here, man. I'll definitely start working on that for you guys, man.
Yeah, we'll do a coaches panel, and we probably can do it at a location if that be the case.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, man, there's some guys out here, man, that really don't get a lot of love media-wise, you know, because the Channel 8s and the Channel 5s, they're all trying to be on the other side of 635.
Yep.
These guys are warranting, you know, because, you know, those guys don't come see us until we're in the playoffs, you know what I'm saying? But they do all the other stories, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, during this time right now. These guys, man, you talking about Brandon Thomas with Faith Family, you know, great coach, man, talking about Jermaine O'Neal, man, my dude, man, you know, dynamic prep, the story he has, you know, and we talking about the Indiana Pacers tonight, right? You know, I was going to talk about the big altercation that they had with Detroit. I don't know if y'all remember that. They did
the Malice in the Palace.
Yeah. They did 30-30 on that, man. We need to get him on the show to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, he's such a good guy, man, that will talk to you about anything, y'all. I'm telling you, we got to get him booked. I'll start working on that as soon as I get off of this tonight. Because
praises up, man. Appreciate you.
Program needs all the, you know, the media love that they can get, man. And like I said, we definitely need to get that. But those are my guys, man. Chaz Wallace for RWG, AJ Burdine for Red Oak. Some of the guys I just wanted to mention. Deuce Hunt from Duncanville. Deuce Hunt, y'all. I don't know if you remember him from Duncanville, the little shooter that they had. He's now the point guard now that Beckham moved to Southeastern Prep. You know,
nice.
Guys are knowing that. That's where him and David Peavy, they took their talents to South Beach.
Dang. I appreciate that.
They deserve it so, but those are my guys, man. I think I ran down everybody, man. Caden Johnson for DeSoto. I'm sorry, 2026. Caden Gray for Kimball. Two bad boys, man. Like I say, Kimball and Carter game is going to be epic, man.
I can't wait to see it. Wait to see it.
Fasten your seatbelts because it's going to be going down.
Me and Wild Dog will have to get our earplugs because our ears are still ringing from that Lake Highlands Richardson.
Boy, I'm trying to tell you, boy. Yeah. You know, I can't tell you.
Great conversation, fellas. I was going to say, Boogie Bob, we're going to move on to the next subject. Man, I remember, and I'm going to give y'all a little story. When I was probably like maybe 17, I was a really big Chris Webber fan at the time. He was like Fab Five was everything, and I just wanted to be just like him. So one night I got out there where we used to live at downtown in Little Mexico Village, and we got Pike Park had this nice little court. I got out there one night. It was probably like maybe I started at 10. I didn't finish until 1, but I was just trying to dunk. And when I finally dunked, I was like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go. I was ready to go, and I tried to dunk on any and everybody. And thinking of,
did you?
huh?
You didn't try to dunk on Chris Webber, did you?
No. I'm just saying. I wish I haven't met him yet, but I think it's in the making. But I'm bringing that up because one of the things that revolutionized the NBA is probably the dunk, because I know they didn't allow that back in the day until Wilt Chamberlain came on the scene. And we're going to start with you, Boogie Bob. What are some of the moves that kind of, in your mind, revolutionized the game basketball for the NBA?
Well, I'm going to leave some meat on the table for the other. There's some old school, but I'm gonna flip the script from where I usually go. There's two things I think currently that have really had an impact on the game. It's called the gather, and all us old school guys will go travel, and they got this new term called, you can take 2 steps after you gather the ball. So if you take 2 steps before you gather the ball, you get 4 steps.
Yeah.
And that didn't used to be. It is like as soon as that ball came off the court, you didn't take another dribble, you only got 2 steps. But they call it the gather. And I'm like, Kyrie's really good at it.
Oh yeah.
And there's some other players that are really good at it. But that's revolutionized the game, in my opinion, at least currently.
I was going to say, when you talk about the gather, the first person comes to mind to me is James Harden.
Yes.
Well, that leads into my second move, because when he, everybody tries to step back now, and James Harden was kind of the first to really popularize it. And I'd tape a game and I would freeze frame. I'm like, okay, he dribbled 1, 2, 3. I'm like, that's a travel. When you see the way they get that leaning foot, that right foot going forward, and they dribble it and they pull back, that should be their pivot foot. But the way James Harden did it, it was never a travel. And an interesting statistic, the average NBA player has about 4.5 feet on their step back. SGA looks like he's off balance, and he has kind of a step back, but it's not really, it's not a pull up, but it's kind of a semi fadeaway step back. James Harden's step back was over 6 feet. And they measured Luka Doncic's step back, and it was over 8 feet.
Dang.
So if you're a defender, even if you're not going slow, he didn't have to have a hezzy. He could just drive on you and then slow up, hit the brakes. Like his step back at 8 feet, 7-footers can't get to the shot. That's too much ground to cover and then get up in the air at the same time. So those two moves in the modern day, the gather and the step back, have really changed the game.
Wow. Yeah, I still got a debate on as far as what Harden is doing is not a travel. It just looked too obvious to me. Wow, like your thoughts on some of the things that revolutionized the NBA as far as basketball goes.
I can't stand Harden. He just trash.
I'll pick up where Boogie left off, because I have step back on my list. But and I want to segue on it because I want to make sure that we give credit to the known innovator of the step back, which is our friend, and we've had him on as a guest.
Okay,
Kiki Vandeweghe.
Hey,
and Reggie Miller confirms, because Reggie Miller's like, Kiki Vandeweghe is the one that taught me my step back.
Okay. Yeah, wow.
You know? Now James
And-
Harden
and-
gets credit for blowing it up, right?
Kiki's actually going to come back on, I think, at the end of June. So we'll have him back on.
Awesome.
Yes.
I missed that show. I got to go back and look at that one. I
yeah.
used to love Kiki Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah.
And then what Boogie was talking about
man.
the 5 foot, 6 foot, and 8 foot step back. Sometimes it's like with the I guess like a combination of the gather and then your footing. Really, some of that sometimes is a double step back. I noted, right, when I looked at video, when I looked at clips, they even allow what you would consider a double step back. You know, like the TNT guys would be like counting. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6 steps. You shackled a fool. You traveling. So much. And Boogie and I would be elbowing each other, looking at each other like, okay, we have to, readjust, our mindset about, what's
You'd be like, come on, bro, don't you see that? Come on, that.
Yeah.
And then I want to go left a little bit too, and because I love all basketball, and then I pay attention as best I can to European ball, global ball, include Africa too. So it's a global sport now. We're number 3, and I look at it global. I look at global talent as well. So I want to give honor to the Euro step. And so on record, it's showing. Now I hope I don't jack up his name. I'm familiar with a couple languages.
Don't do it.
Sarunas Marciolonius.
Yeah, I think you ruined the name.
Butchered.
And then of course, Manu Ginobili kind of made it like so popular. And when you think Eurostep, I think most of us think Manu Ginobili. Not the only one, but he was the guy. He got it down to a science. When you think he wasn't going to do it, he hits you with it anyway, and it's like he turned it around and he's laying it up.
Nobody knew about the Euro step until Manu Ginobili, man. I'm like, what is that? I've never seen nothing like that until he came to the United States with it.
Yeah, it was straight. Even Kike, excuse me, not Kike, Kiki, even Kiki, Kiki doing it, and I was like, oh, Kiki did pull a Euro, but we know, Kiki got around a bit into the military and lived in Germany, so no telling where he may have picked it up or saw it, or even just playing with moves and just ran into it. But it greatly allows for penetration and getting to that foul line, And then let me go, and I'll get out of your hair here. Let me go with the reverse layup. Okay, the reverse layup.
Okay,
and that's giving credit to my guy, my hero, Julius Erving, Dr. J. Right, but of course, the most highlights and the most popularized reverse layups, were done by Michael Jordan. So again, we have like an originator, and there's someone that carried it, with his with his popularity and his skill set and his airtime. Well, he maximizes airtime, and not that he got more airtime, but he maximized airtime with Air Jordan. And really, it would kind of innovated, what you could do along the baseline penetration. And again, you misdirect everything, you get to the foul line, right? So one way or another, you're going to finish. And that's kind of why I want to piggyback on Boogie Bob and then bring up the Euro step and the reverse layup.
Oh, wow. I mean, I never thought I've always enjoyed, but I always try to reverse dunk. You know what I mean? Because if I get to that baseline and I get by you, I'm just going to reverse dunk it. Paul, your thoughts on the moves and all these great accolades that these guys have put into basketball? What kind of caught your mind that revolutionized the game as far as moves go?
The crossover, baby.
Oh, yeah.
God. I'm a guard, man. And I know I'm a big guard now, but I'm back then. Hey, man, I was 102 pounds wet, man. I was a guard back in the day, man. And let me tell you, that crossover, Allen Iverson and Tim Hardaway, stop. There's no better move in the game than for a guard. You have to have, to me. You can't be a guard and don't have a crossover. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that was actually the go-to move. Now, I think the thing that just messed the game up now, I'll be honest with you. Let's talk about the thing that messed the game up right now. 3-point shot, and they moved it back, and it didn't even matter how far you moved it back. Everybody including my uncle, who's in his grave right now, still trying to shoot the three right now. You can't get bigs to go play in the post no more because everybody's trying to do what? Shoot the threes right now.
Yeah.
He's 6'8", but he sure can shoot that 3-pointer. It kills me to my day, man. I see these 6'8" plus guys that rather shoot a 3 than go man up in the post. I love Coach Dyer, Chris Dyer from DeSoto High School. I remember when my son was a freshman and they went to North Carolina to play in this tournament because Matt Jones was going to be going to Duke. So there's this real big tournament in North Carolina that holiday tournament that they went to that year of 2013, I think it was. And he saw a guy down there and he called me. He says, man, well, he didn't call me. We was eating down there. And he says, man, did you see this kid shoot that ball? He's at 6'9", 6'10", and shot it like a guard. That is about the best player I have ever seen. I said, you know what, Coach? I done played for you, and at Kimball, right? And now I got my son playing for you. But you've got to be one of the most flip-flopping coaches I've ever been. That kid couldn't play for you because you would want him in the post down there. What do you want, man? What and we laugh to this day about it. But that guy's name is Carl what's the name? Towns?
Carl Anthony Towns.
Carl Anthony Towns.
Yes.
What? Yeah, they're down there. And Coach Dyer honestly thought that he was the best player he has ever seen in high school. Simply because that dude could hit a 3 and like it was nothing. But Dyer told me, he says, all my bigs can't shoot like that. You know what I'm saying? I said, well, you never know unless you start letting them get the opportunity to do that,
Right. And I think that's what's going to happen to Derek Lively. He's been out there practicing threes, and he actually hit a 3-pointer in the finals, didn't he?
Yeah. Yes, he did. Yeah. But Derek Lively's not no shooter, y'all.
You may remember the Denton Geyer team that lost to Allen in the regional final.
Yeah.
Jalen Wilson and his brother were on that team.
Yeah.
And Jalen Wilson went on and played for Kansas. He wore number 10. He was probably 6'8", 6'9".
Where is he right now?
And all he would do is come down and shoot 3-pointers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got a 6'8", a 6'10", and a 6'9" guy on the front line, and none of them were in the paint. And Allen had their biggest guy was only like 6'5". But they had 4 or 5 guys, and they played 5 out and keep away. And they wound up beating that Denton Geyer team and going on to win the state championship.
Yeah, sometimes when you allow the kids to do what they want to do instead of doing what they need to do, you get results like that. Now, I might be wrong for saying that because, again, you still want the kid to have an opportunity of having fun playing. A lot of kids – when they getting overcoached like that, that's what they call overcoaching. They don't have fun. And today's game, Boogie Bob, they'll transfer on you.
We had this kid, and Big Mike probably remember him. He was 6 foot before the season started, and he's probably 6'1", 6'2" after. And in a middle court gym, which is 10 feet shorter. He would go to the corner of half court, not just half court, but the baseline where baseline and the mid court met.
Dang.
And he would drain 6 out of 10, and it wouldn't like hit the rim or bounce around. We're talking nothing but net. And you may remember Trey.
I remember Trey because we played against that kid that we played against.
Yeah, that's the kid you played against, and he got mad. Once the game was out of hand, I pulled him. He got mad because I pulled him out of the game. But he's one of those guys, Paul, you're talking about that you're like, we were like, take a layup. But with him, if he wanted to shoot a 3, he had open seasons. Like we knew he could hit a 3 because Byron and I, we double teamed him one time and he just went over us and shot it. And it was nothing but net. We're like, okay, you can shoot a 3 any time in the game you want.
Yeah.
We don't care if you miss the 4 or 5. We know you're going to hit a few.
The crossover. What guards all time? Give me your. I'm just going to ask you to get 2 of your favorite guys who I can speak of one, but what are your thoughts on your favorite guys as far as crossovers go?
Allen Iverson and Hardaway, Tim Hardaway, without a doubt. Those two guys mastered that thing. They had that ball looking like it was on a yo-yo, Mike.
And Paul, if I may,
Yes, sir.
and I'm the old school black and white.
Okay.
I would like to give honor and respect to Oscar Robertson because that's the first cat I saw.
Big O.
Yeah.
So in my
I
opinion,
that's a little before my time. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying he started it, and then he had to start somewhere, and then
I know who mastered it, and I'm telling you, wee man.
And then then the next generation really, Hardaway and AI just took it to a whole nother like it had to be in your bag. Like you said, if it's not in your bag, what are you doing? Go over there and work on it.
I tell you, my son, my oldest boy, Jules, we put that in the bag early, and he could do it right or left. You didn't know which way he was going to do it. You know what I'm saying? And if you can do it right or left, you're a problem. I always told him that. Don't matter how fast you are. It don't matter how if you can snap that thing back like that either hand, it's a problem. Because Jules used to do it where he'll snap it and snap it to the other side, and then once you thought you was prepared for it, he snap it right back, and you fall into the ground now. Now he's going back that way, So I'm just telling you, man, that move there was always in our bag that we had to go to. But like I said,
yeah, and you may remember this. Harden did that crossover on a guy, and then went a step back, and the guy fell flat on his butt, and he stood there and looked at him, and then he shot the ball.
He pushed off though, man. James Harden be pushing off with his, man.
Hey, if you don't extend, it's not a push off.
As a friend, I'm going to say he didn't extend, so that's why you didn't call it. He extended.
Right. We used to teach them put your shoulder in their chest. If you want to lay up, put your shoulder in their chest, and then go up and shoot it.
If you're leaning one way, Bob, and I hit you with that little, you're going that way. You're finna fall. You're already on that way. It don't matter how much you extend. It's that little push. It's a little nudge that has you going the way you're already going.
That momentum will carry you.
That's why it just killed me about when they say extension. What do you need an extension for? You saw him bump him, and the dude flew the way you bumped him. So,
and today's players, they actually stop so that the player comes into him, and then they jump into him with the shoulder before they take the shot.
Then they follow.
Hey, Big Mike.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Big Mike. Before we get in trouble about this moves at Revolutionize, let me run through something real quick so we don't get in trouble with the fan base.
All
right, let's go. In the 1940s, Bob Kirkland was known as a dunker, but it was deemed inappropriate, overly aggressive, not a thing, right?
Right.
And then in between 1967 and 1975, the NCAA banned the dunk. It was called the Lou Alcindor rule.
I remember that.
Jabbar.
Bingo.
And then from all of that, we ended up with the first dunk contest in the ABA League in 1976. That was won by my guy, my hero, Dr. J. Julius Erving.
Right.
And then that did carry over into the NBA in 1984, and where we had Larry Nance winning the first official NBA dunk contest.
Really?
Yeah.
And
doesn't his son right now play for Cleveland?
Yeah, Larry Nance. He moved around a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing in the league. I think he's in Europe now.
His son?
Yeah, he was in the league for a while, but I think he's out now.
Right, but according to the internet, it's still the most popular highlights of most popular any sport of anything. And with the move, of course, the dunk is basically the highest percentage shot, if you want to call it a shot, or highest percentage type of layup. And of course, if you're either going to finish one way or the other with the score, with the foul, and perhaps an and one.
So, Paul, let me ask you this. Now, I know you watched a lot of games in your lifetime as far as being in the business of basketball. When did you kind of recognize teams going to like the press, the 2-2-1, the 3-2, and the 2-3 zones? What has that done to the league? And I mean, as far as the NBA goes, I know it just recently started, probably in 2004 when they started allowing the zone. What were your thoughts on it when you started watching the zone defense be implemented in the game?
Number one, I hate the zone defense.
I knew it.
Number one, I hate it. Bad basketball. There's guys that don't want to play defense. You know what I mean? I had no respect for teams that played zone. I'm gonna be honest with you. Jim Boeheim started that bull crap. You know, and it into when the league said we can finally do this. So, you know, it was in vogue then when he won a couple championships with that zone defense. And to me, like I said, man, it's just it's bad basketball because, like I said, you know, you know, it's a mano game. And probably one of the most unique games where you can really just say that in. And I think the beauty of it is because it's one-on-one. Now it's a team game, don't get me wrong, but you got a couple of guys that are better one-on-one, you're going to win the game 9 times out of 10, right? The zone defense, I think when Donnie Nelson did that crap.
Yeah.
And Don Nelson started that crap here in the NBA, man. And I hated it then, and I hate it now till this day. Don't get me wrong, he was successful at it because he had a lot of guys that didn't want to play defense. I mean, think of it. I hate to talk about my sleeper guy. It probably wasn't going to be a sleeper guy for the Indiana Pacers, but we had Detlef Schrempf here. Didn't we remember that when Detlef?
Yes, Detlef Schrempf. Yep.
He didn't want to play no defense. He'll take a charge or something like that, but he couldn't guard nobody one-on-one. We had a lot of guys back then that couldn't guard anyone. Roy Tarpley, Mark McGuire. I mean, we had dudes back in them days when, the older days. Let me come back in, I guess, with Don Nelson. Who do you have? Howard. Remember Howard didn't want to play no defense either.
Josh Howard.
Yeah, Josh Howard.
Mm-hmm.
Who else did we have been during those times?
Marquise Daniels.
Now Marquise was a bad boy though. He could go.
I actually met him.
Harris. Devin Harris.
He
was
too scared. He played defense. He was good defensively. He was in people's pockets, but we had a lot of guys back then, and I forget the big all the European guys that we had that surely did not want to play defense. So, I think when Don Nelson started doing that, people started doing that. I also think people go to the zone more to rest. You know what I'm saying? And I hate that. The game is supposed to be up and down quick. They're $1 million, almost $1 billion players that should be in the best shape of their lives. I listened to the commentator the other night say this crazy thing the other night. He said, "Look at these guys. They've never been more tired ever in their life." Did y'all remember this other day? He says, "You know why that is, right?" And he said, "No, I don't. Why?" He says, "This is the NBA championship finals. They've never had to play defense all year." Y'all missed that?
No.
Yeah, because I know Indiana, they run. They get up the floor.
And that's what Carlisle does. Carlisle's gonna say, "Hey man, what is it? 48 minutes? How many minutes are we doing in each game? 48 minutes, right?"
Yeah.
They're gonna go 10 to 13 players like that, man, because they want to outlast you. They're gonna play all their players. They want to outlast you, and that's been part of the secret behind the success for Carlisle because he believes in defense and he's always pushing. If it's not that, then we bring it out and run the offense, call the set, and go from there. But he knows a lot of these players in this league today don't play defense. So what we need to do? Push it. All these people want.
So Paul always had a saying. I even taught the kids this: legs go, shot go.
Yes, sir.
And when I played pickup, rec league pickup ball, I wasn't the fastest guy, but I'd pick him up 94 feet. And he goes, "You can't guard me." I'm like, and he nicknamed me the Gnat because I would never go away. He'd beat me, but he'd have to beat me 4 or 5 times down the court. And I remember a game to 15, each counted one. He made his first 4 shots, and I picked him up again. I said, "I got you right where I want you." He came down, tried to dunk it, couldn't get up, hit the front of the rim. He missed his last 8 shots. We won the game. At the end of that game, every time he saw me in the gym, he's like, "I want him on my team." because he didn't want me guarding him 94 feet. It's like I could run like a gazelle. I wasn't fast, but I could run all day long. And I ran him to where he was tired. He couldn't hit a shot. And I just, that's
Hey,
when I started saying, legs go, shot go.
Boogie Bob, I ran into a guy Tuesday night that said he gave you 40 all the time. I ran into a guy Tuesday night at the Lake Ridge. I told him I was going to be seeing you this week, and he said, "Man, I used to give him 40 every time I played on him." He told me to tell you. He said, "Snowball says hi, buddy." Snowball. Snowball. I ran into him Tuesday night, man. Nah, he didn't say he gave you 40. I just made that up. But he told me he said hi, man. So I ran into him Tuesday night, so I won't forget that. So.
Oh, nice. And continue with your thoughts on the zone, Bob. What are your thoughts when you first kind of seen it in the NBA?
Well, I remember a certain coach, and he called it the amoeba defense, and he took his team to the Final Four, and they wound up playing against Louisville, which had just a little too much talent. But Dale Brown at LSU had no player bigger than 6'6". Ricky Blanton was their biggest guy. Their guards were like 6'1", 6'2", and they played a zone. They had to play a zone, but he called it the amoeba defense because much like what you coach, it was
kind of zone defense though.
Yeah, it was switching, matching zone defense.
That's almost like being in a man-to-man.
Yeah. So yeah, Wild Dog showing the car. So a lot of teams are playing 5 out now.
Yeah, and that's what beat us in the finals, Mavericks, that 5 out, man.
So I think the zone, one of the things it does is you can guard the perimeter better when other teams are playing the 5 out. Houston a few years back they switched everything. They didn't care who the player was. They had players and they switched everything. But you see some of the, like Paul said, it's to take a rest. But one of the things the zone does help you with, if you play it correctly, is it helps you guard the perimeter. And since there's not many big men in the post anymore, it doesn't really kill you, and gives you a little bit better perimeter defense. Without having a Drew Holiday or Derek White, you've got to make up for it somehow.
Down, man down.
Yeah,
hand down, man down. That's right. The one thing of zone has always been a true is it leaves you susceptible to rebounding. So if you ever watch when even Carlisle played the zone in 2011 championship, he would use it strategically to change the pace of the game. It wasn't necessarily because of the defense, so to change the pace of the game. And one of the things that allowed them to rebound was in the way he manipulated the zone. There was always somebody coming back as soon as the shot went up. There was always somebody coming back from the zone to come get the rebound, whether it was the guard, whether it was the guy from the 3-point line, whatever the opposite side of the ball was, he would have them coming to rebound. It wasn't necessarily the big guy. But a zone leaves you susceptible to rebounding. And in today's game, with switching, the one thing you got to be aware of, which Carlisle has trained his players, you saw this the other night, if the other team, and Oklahoma City went to zone for like a possession or two, and Indiana went on a run, because one thing a zone does is it allows cutters a lot of open space. And when you give open space for somebody with speed, like a Halliburton, you just unlock the secret. So, I mean, you can use it in sparingly, but you got to remember rebounding and allowing a lot of space for cutters. You've got to be 5 guys on a string if you're going to play a zone.
Yeah, you got to be smart with a zone. But one thing I told my boys, if we ever played zone, and we kind of mainly played 2-3 zone for the most part. And I always say, hey, the middle is your weakest part. So you got to make sure that you are not allowing anything in the middle. So that's what mainly we did. If we played zone, it was 2-3, and we usually just try to protect that middle. What are your thoughts, Wild Dog, on as far as the revolutionizing of the zone in regards to the NBA?
Yeah, guys don't leave no meat on the bone. Oh, I love it. Again, I had it where it slows the game down, and dealing with better the perimeter defense and against the 3-pointers. But then, like now, coming into the game now, like Boogie was talking about, we're getting into positionless basketball, positionless players, or players who can play multiple positions, and then where the zone can really be more maximized than before, where it was really more like kind of a cop out, kind of a way to cover up some deficiencies and so forth.
Yeah.
But again, like Boogie was talking about Rick Carlisle, and even in my day, we use it strategically. Like we practice hard. That's your man. You gotta cover your man. You're responsible for your man, right? And then we learned how to beat zones, or how we could effectively get against zones. And then that's where folks like myself and another forward, where we had speed and vision, cutting to the basket. That's always how we beat it, was that movement and cutting to the basket, and but always having to move without the ball.
Yeah.
These days and times, I call it watching TV. I'm like, what are you doing? You at your spot. There's another spot. You got to move. You got to move without the ball. And why are you moving your defender into traffic? No, what are you doing? Sometimes I'm like pulling my hair out. And so again, I came out where it was like already, is this a part of the game? Something that's like, okay, you have to deal with. But we kind of used it. This is the analogy I wanted to give, and I'll let it go. Was like being strategically was like, if we're man to man all game, and it could be the last 3 minutes, and the sign will be passed through. Everybody on the bench will be given the sign, right? And then it's almost like a 3 grunt. and we would switch into a zone, or we might switch into a hybrid. We even will go into a hybrid. So we might go the whole game. We might go, all into the last 3 to 5 minutes, and then switch it up on you, right? And then, it's going to cost you a timeout, or we're going to get a couple of stops out of it, until you get yourself together, and then it's too late, So it's
And
something.
you got to remember, Dean Smith came up with the 4 box and 1.
Yeah.
4 guys played a box, and their best defender chased the best player.
Yeah.
Hmm.
A lot of times it would be like a lot of times at the end, I would come in the game. I do this signal, right? This signal here, X, was like, I guess like a one, and we call it it would be like me or whoever is there, man on man, and then everybody else is in a 4-man box zone.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we would do to switch up. I almost forgot about that. I remember doing that, and then being at the half court, doing this to half court, and then slapping the floor.
Slapping the floor and you're in a zone defense?
Huh?
You slapping the floor and you're in a zone defense?
It was a hybrid.
Oh.
I would pick up the point guard at or whoever was bringing the ball up at half court.
Okay.
And that's how we would, when we ran this. Yeah.
My man, slapping the floor and you're in a zone defense, man.
I'm one-on-one. I'm one-on-one. Whoever's up at the half court is one-on-one.
Okay, I'm following you now. Okay, I got it.
It's man to man, yeah.
Speaking of one, there's a lot of teams that has been worldwidely renowned as far as the NBA go, that has been like some of the most notable teams. I can name a few myself. We're going to talk about the number 1 teams that are worldwide, and some of these players that made these teams that popular worldwide goes. Paul, in your thoughts, what is the most popular team worldwide, and what player got them to that level?
That's too easy. Everybody wanted to be like Mike. I don't care what country you was in. You was in Venezuela or whatever. It didn't matter. You wanted to be like Mike, and that's when the game went global. of course, the Dream Team, ended up, putting it out there together. I don't think there was any team at that point, global, more important than Chicago at the time.
Yeah.
But I got to say, as it stands right now, there's no team more important than the Lakers.
Yep.
I think it was always, and I hate the Lakers. I'm gonna tell you that now.
All of us.
It makes four of us.
I was originally a Sixer fan. I love Dr. J, Andrew Toney.
It makes three of us.
Mike Alvarone, Bobby Jones, Billy Cunningham was the coach. Chocolate Thunder. Moses Malone. All of them. We go on and on. That was my team. Even though I lived in Massachusetts, I hated the Celtics. I hated the Lakers. And I could always tell, even as a young kid, that the league was for the Lakers and the Celtics.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Till this day, it seems like it's still geared that way because the Lakers always seem to get somebody when their ratings, when the NBA ratings are down, they always get somebody. It wasn't just Luka. Luka was the first one. You can go to Paul Gasol. You can go. Remember the year when they tried to get? They almost had Chris Paul go there, and then all the owners went crazy on that.
Dwight Howard, Shaq.
They always get somebody.
Kareem.
They always get somebody that the league helps. Get that. Now, was any one of y'all shocked that we ended up getting the number one pick?
Nope.
Yeah, I was sitting there radio with my boys saying, "Dad, there ain't no way the Mavericks going to get this." I told him, I will bet you $100 right now that the Mavericks get this number one pick. And they looked at me like I was crazy when they saw that. They saw this, man. You must have seen this already, or Dad always knows somebody in something. He knew ahead of time before we saw this. That's what they accused me of. I said, no, I know.
You got in your DeLorean and you went to the future and then came back.
Yeah. No, but the league, I wish, honestly, y'all, stop doing that. You know what I'm saying? And I know that their ratings are hurting and so forth or whatever, but that's the product that you made right now. And the bottom line is like I said, if you're going to continue to allow those teams always be, the ones that get the glory, then your ratings are going to depend on them, being there, and they're not going to always be that. LeBron got to get old sooner or later, right? Look what's happening with the Celtics right now. Poor, my boy Justin Tatum. Oh man, God bless his soul. I wish him a speedy recovery, but all those guys can't stay healthy, their whole careers. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has those fights, man, and you've got to have a more competitive balance. It's good to see Indiana in this position. I love that right now, but they're not globally known like the Lakers. They're not globally known like the Celtics right now. The most popular team is the Lakers right now, unfortunately. Should have been the Mavericks, if they'd kept Luka,
Yeah.
Oh well.
Let me ask you this question, Paul. What are your thoughts on who's done a better job, and your thoughts on what David Stern did versus what Adam Silver is doing? Now, you think Adam Silver is kind of imbalancing what the league is doing, or David Stern got the league to where it is, and then Adam Silver is just trying to hold on?
That's a hard one because David Stern left that boy in a bad position. Because David started making the game soft again. You know what I'm saying? And he had to pick up Silver. Is dealing with soft-minded stars right now. And it's not tough. The league is not tough like it used to be. And to me, it just says to me right now, this is not real basketball that we're watching right now. You know what I'm saying? And saying who did a better job, you got to say David Stern, I guess, because they had more money, or generated more revenue percentage-wise, I guess. I won't say overall numbers because the money is higher now, and the players got paid more now than they always, than in the past. But David Stern, was the product of Michael Jordan and all them, bringing them back into it and so forth. And I think the league was headed right to where it's at right now, and Adam Silver couldn't do anything about that. That's like the train that started 65 miles per hour 3 states ago, and tell them, You can't do it. You can't get that train to stop once it starts going like that. So especially downhill, and that's what that train is going right now for the league. I don't even watch the league really until the playoffs.
Yeah. I keep my eye on the Mavs all the time for whatever reason. I just can't not watch the Mavs because
if I'm not going to a Mavericks game, I'm not watching the Mavericks until they make the playoffs, and they better make the playoffs. So and there are a lot of people out there like me right now that's old heads that just doesn't want to, I watch football every week. Now I don't do I can't watch baseball like that. But basketball is I'm even watching hockey more than I watch pro basketball now.
Yeah, I think Adam Silver, you need to kind of take heed of what we're saying on this program. Dog, your thoughts on the number one team worldwide, in your opinion? I mean, Paul said the one that most people know worldwide now, as far as the Chicago Bulls and the Lakers. But what are your thoughts on those two, or if you have an idea of what should be a team that should be well known worldwide?
Oh yeah, so I mean, all time, it's the Lakers and the Boston Celtics by far, and we can all just throw up later, But right now, presently, if you want to look at, like we could the total fans, right? If you want to look at merchandise sales overall, and if you want to look at social media activity and things of that nature, the Golden State Warriors, right now at the present time are by far the most popular team globally. It's so much activity. Anything that goes on with the Golden State Warriors, Steph, and even still people following Clay, which helps keep the Dallas Mavericks,
relevant. And then Kyrie has those shoes, those Antakais.
Yeah,
that's a Chinese product.
Yes.
So the Splash Brothers, Steph, and again his style of the game, like Paul Simon, a 3-point, 3-pointer just taking over. Even if you want to call it a half court quarter, they might mess around with a 4-point play, but 4-point shot,
don't do that.
Is taking over, Hey, in the selected game they have it,
Gonna give Paul a heart attack.
The Harlem Globetrotters have it. But yeah, so globally that's been really strong and it's holding tight. Like even friends I have that do podcasts and things like that, they had to just start covering all the Golden State Warriors game because that's what their audience was kept demanding. That's what they're they kept getting hit with. Why don't you cover this game? And they had to change their, play-by-play live feed where they always did the Warriors and then try to fit the Lakers and anything else in between. And I was like, hey, you got to follow your audience is with you and they demanding this. And it's like, I'm like, for real, globally, you talk your fan bases. You got some guy in the Philippines up in the middle of the night. You know what I'm saying? On your stream, you got to respect that. And they were like, yeah, Wild Dog, we didn't think about that. Yeah, you got some guy in the UK trying to, catch the Warriors game and flow with you, but, you not give the people what they want.
Let me ask you. You just brought up an interesting point, man, about Steph. Steph has a worldwide following, especially after the Olympics, right? I think he went crazy. And I think people are really now. With that said, man, seriously, because I've been thinking about this. We always had these conversations about the GOAT. Who's the GOAT?
Oh, Lord.
Can he ever be put in that conversation for real? Especially if he wins another one. Can he really be put in that conversation? Because he has the fan base. He has the people. I think he's carrying the league right now as far as people who, because it's funny. I don't watch pro basketball a lot, but I will watch Golden State play when they're on.
Yeah.
I forgot to say that. So,
hey, Paul, if you leave the United States, he's in the conversation.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. When you talk to people outside of the United States, he's in the conversation.
Really?
Within the United States, our culture, the upbringing with basketball, even just kind of like Dwight Howard, don't let the smile fool you.
Yeah.
Don't let my pleasant demeanor fool you.
Yeah.
He's called the babyface assassin.
Yeah.
You focus too much on the babyface and forget about the assassin part.
Yeah.
But culturally, that's what we're off on. It's like, oh, he's not this enough or that enough. It's like, Be the number one. You know, our field, our eye test, whatever. It's like he's called the babyface assassin. His call name is trying to help you, right? And then you underestimate him, or you get fooled by the
shimmy.
Him chewing on his chewing on his almost like chewing on his pacifier. Got you slipping and sleeping, and bam, you can never count them out. Bam. Yeah. Right.
And that makes a good point where you just said as far as Golden State Warriors. I never thought about it because in the Olympics he did bring notoriety to that team because he really went off. Bob, your thoughts on as far as the number one team worldwide? I know you got some good stats to bring forward. If not, then give us your opinion.
Fat man.
Well, stats will come up later. I agree. It's always been the Lakers and the Celtics. Like what they got 30, 35 championships between them out of 75.
Yeah.
That's like the Yankees and the Red Sox or
The Dodgers.
It's branding, and that's what the NBA, even during David Stern, was all about. But I'm going to bring up two teams. I had these as my backup. I'm going to bring up the present day one. And you really don't think of them as a global team, and you really don't think of them as a big market team because they play in a small market, but they do have a chip, and it's the player that's on the team that makes them worldwide, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak. That's kind of the modern day, more that outside the United States, he brings awareness to the NBA because of where he came from and where he played. And then I want to go back even further because this player not only brought a worldwide nation, he brought a whole country to get up in the middle of the night to watch him play. And that's Yao Ming when he was at the Rockets.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
The whole country of China, started watching basketball because of Yao Ming.
Yeah.
And, the presence in China and the expansion, that's one thing Silver's done. I think the Mavericks are playing a preseason game in Mexico City a few years ago. The Maniacs and them, when Dirk was still there, they traveled overseas and played some games. When Luka came over, they played. If you remember, they played in like UAB and Australia. So, the game itself has gone global. In fact, Adam Silver next year is saying that the All-Star game will have the USA versus the world.
Wow.
And the Olympics are no longer given gold for the United States because it's become a global game. So you have forerunners, the stars nowadays that are carrying it, like the Lukas and the Giannis's. But the Drazen Petroviches or the Serenas Marcelonis, those guys that paved the way, they came over from Europe. Sabonis is dad. So I'd say modern day is probably Giannis and the Bucks. A decade or two ago, Yao Ming and the Rockets.
What do you think about Denver with the Joker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could put the Joker up there with Giannis because he's got a chip too. I think when you look at fan voting, he obviously gets the MVP voting, but you look at the All-Star voting, and Giannis is still always up there.
No doubt.
And then China is rock solid Rocket fans. That's why the league always sends the Houston Rockets to China. And it started back with Yao Ming, and it's still the Houston Rockets is the NBA's team, official country's team for China. So,
Paul, do you remember what that Olympic sprinter said about the NBA can't be calling themselves, if they win a championship, world champions?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that one? And then we can move on to the next subject because we're speaking of a worldwide,
I don't remember
conversation. Yeah, he made a great Popovich.
Last year, the guy that got sick, that got COVID or whatever. The sprinter.
I think he did get COVID. Yeah, he won the an Olympic
Rudy
medal.
Gobert.
No, not Rudy Go. It wasn't Rudy Gobert.
The sprinter.
Yeah, he was a sprinter that said that you can't call yourself a world champion unless you played against the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago.
I got it.
Yeah. And I remember thinking about that.
No
allows. Yeah.
No allows. Yeah, that's him. Yes, yeah, that's it. I remember that now.
I'm slow.
I thought he was just one of them dudes just trying to get some attention, man. He was trying to, deflect, him messing up, or because didn't he drop the baton or something in the Olympics? Something happened to him bad that he didn't show up for the race. He got booked, and he was supposed to win it all, and he didn't. And then he made that comment. I can't remember how that went, but no, dude, track is different from basketball. You know what I mean? Track is always worldwide. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Patrick Ewing was from Jamaica. Dikembe Mutombo was from the Congo.
Yeah. But if you consider one of the best in the world, you go where? You go play in the NBA, baby. You don't know Euro team, anything like that. So miss me with what he's talking about, man. Some people just need to stay in your own lane. Ain't that the old saying? Stay in your own lane. He definitely needs to do that. Stay in your lane, bro.
They hit him with that sideways, and then somebody followed up with it again, and he just doubled down. And I'm just like, you too busy training to pay enough attention, But again, even my baseball people are like, baseball is, we'll dig you out from the moon and bring you back if you can ball,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But what like we talked about the commissioners, I feel like Stern, for his challenges, his plan, he was the best man for the job, and that's why he was at the helm for so long and completed. So his number one goal was to make the game global, and he overwhelmingly got that done. Yeah. And then Silver just simply has a different set of challenges, and we knew that he was going to be the commissioner. So even back in the early 2000s, right, we would call them both commissioner. When Silver would come through, he would laugh and smile. We'd be like, "Hey, commissioner." They'd be like, "What do you mean?" It's like, whatever was, whatever will be, always is. Yeah. So the challenges that he has, he's the best man for the job. Just like the whole LA Clippers owner, deal. He was the man for the job. Already had everything prepared, and even already had Palmer, the Microsoft co-founder, lined up. Like, if I have an issue, who? I'm serious. Who's available? Who would be next up for a potential situation? So once it all got exposed by his mistress, it was Adam Silver had it. Boom, 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 boom. Call to the president. Oh, you seem like you have it in hand. I'm gonna allow you to do your thing. There's no need for me to interfere. If you need anything from me, let me know. Click the red phone. I'm telling you what I know. And then boom, 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 it's done. And then it rolls in. He comes through, and I'm like, there it is. I knew it. And this was way in advance. This was like, what was it, 10, 12, some years in advance, right? That we already knew about him. I don't even want to say his name. He was an issue, right? But you just couldn't oust an owner, right? You just can't, you just can't do that. But the bylaws were shifting the way enough, right? And certain things, certain bylaws were given a different level of severity. That's the word I'm looking for, level of severity. And then Silver was just prepared. He was the right man for the job. He knew what needed to be done, and in the atmosphere. And then look what happened globally. The NBA, Silver and NBA made that turn. This is where we stand. This is where we draw the line, right? And it was a domino effect. Next thing you know, you had Major League Soccer over in Europe. Click, click, boom. That's all we needed, right? was someone to set precedents, and then boom, and then baseball, and then NASCAR, and then left and right, they were cleaning house. You know what I'm saying? So he was the right man for the job. So you think so much the NBA, but it gets to the point where some things are so much bigger, right?
Right.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Look about this team we're about to talk about now. They are actually in the NBA Finals. Indiana Pacers. They've had a lot of legendary players in this program for many, many years. Rick Smith is like one of the ones that always come to mind because he was like one of the tallest dude I can remember playing basketball for any team at the time. Give me some of your thoughts on some of the legacy players for the Indiana Pacers, if you will.
Well, I have a list, but I don't want to take all the food off the table for Wild Dog and Paul.
Hey,
I
Rick.
actually looked up two different players, and you know, some of the ones I texted you the other night. That's because they were showing. Yeah, well, they do it at every NBA Finals, like who the royalty is, and when it's the Lakers, it's always the superstars. Well, the other night when they played Game 3, Indiana, they were showing all the former players. So some of them I remember and I had forgot about. But I actually looked up two different players. And the tendency, I'm gonna leave one of them on the table because I think maybe Wild Dog might go with them.
I agree. I agree.
But the one that I chose of the two is Jermaine O'Neal, and mainly because his stats were better than the other guy. But that if neither Paul or Wild Dog mention, I'll come back to it. But it's what he's done for the community after his playing career.
Yes.
And not just starting Drive Nation and a high school, but what's not known is one of his kids was a volleyball, and when he bought those courts, it was so that his daughter, I think it was his daughter, could play volleyball.
Yeah.
And he has poured a lot of his own money into the community and growing the community and helping underprivileged kids. He's building a legacy after his basketball career, and that's why I chose him. His career stats: 13.2 points a game, 7.2 rebounds a game, 1.4 assists. 18 years in the league. That you're talking about centers play longer. Used to always play longer.
And
But
he came out of
18
high
years. 18 years, and he was. I mean, he was old school. He played tough, physical defense.
He came out of high school, right?
Yeah, Jermaine O'Neal did.
High school, yeah, and Portland drafted him. He made $168.9 million in his. He was a 6-time All-Star, three-time All-NBA. In 2001, 2002, he won Most Improved Player.
Yeah.
And in 2006, 2007, he had Defensive Player of the Year shares. So those that watch this podcast usually know that I mentioned a long list of all the different awards that each different player has, and that seemed like a short list, but when you look at the impact on the community and you look at the impact, the people associating with the Pacers for a reason, because he was just old school center that you weren't going to get anything easy, you weren't going to get anything cheap. He'd rather foul you and put you on the free throw line than to give you a layup. And you know what he's done with his boys that are in the EBYL that we were talking about earlier. He as a person, it is a legacy in itself.
Oh, nice.
And
Actually, that was very nice to say as far as Jermaine O'Neal goes, man. I remember the first time my team went out to Drive Nation, man. It was a very nice gym out there, man. And out there at DFW, I remember that. I was like, I didn't know it was a basketball court out here. So when we got out there, it was like really amazing, man. And wow, they were swinging over to you, man. What are your thoughts on some of the legacy players, what the Indiana Pacers provided to us as far as NBA fans go?
Okay, thank you, sir. I want to just with Jermaine O'Neal, he was the single season franchise leader blocks, and then blocks per game. Just want to add that. And then, of course, I'm black and white, old school basketball. So I'm not worried about anybody taking too much meat off the bone. So I'm gonna go straight to the ABA days.
Okay.
Right. So Indiana Pacers are a legacy team, and everybody, hey, they never won one. They never won an NBA title. So we got 3-time ABA champion and 2-time ABA MVP, Mel Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
6-time All-Star, also led all-time leading rebounder for the Pacers, and he also led the ABA in rebounding in 2 seasons. And then we're going to talk about Roger Brown, also a 3-time ABA champion with the Pacers.
Yeah.
4-time ABA All-Star. He was also a candidate in the MVP voting, and then he's 4th in points for the Pacers. Okay. And then let's wrap up with my guy, George McGinnis. George
used to play with the Sixers.
2-time ABA champion and an ABA MVP in a 75 season, 3-time All-Star, and he holds a single season points leader for the Pacers, and then points per game leader in 1 year. So that kind of carried over with his career stats with being the Pacers single season points leader. And let's see here. And all 3 of these gentlemen, Mel Daniels, Roger Brown, and George McGinnis, are Basketball Hall of Famers. And their jersey retired by the Pacers.
Wow.
Salute.
I didn't know. Awesome.
You got it on YouTube at the tip of your finger. Just you ain't gotta do it all. I had to go through you guys play, and trying to catch them on TV when I want to do something fun. But I don't know, I can't miss it. If I miss it on the TV, it ain't like I can press, to record or watch later. No. I had went through a lot to watch these cats. But now it's 2025, YouTube. You can just click in to put their name in on YouTube and watch their games or video clips and see the legacy of these men and what they did to keep the Pacers together and to keep the Pacers in
Indiana
team alive in Indiana, because not all the ABA teams made it, right? Pacers are legacy. A lot of ABA teams, even the Virginia Squires with Dr. J, they went away. Right? So
St. Louis went away.
Yeah.
So much Seattle went away.
Yeah. So much respect to the entire whole body of the Pacers legacy. Please.
All right, Paul. We are swinging it over to you, man. Indiana Pacers, man. And you know what? I have to mention this guy, and I don't know if you're going to mention him or not, but I am a big fan of Jalen Rose because of the Michigan Wolverines. I'm a Michigan Wolverine fan for college basketball ever since the Fab Five, man. So I'm not quite sure why I ain't mentioned my boy, but hopefully we can get some love. I'm just going to give him his flowers right now. But what are your thoughts on
I told you I was going to leave some meat on the table for y'all to eat.
And I'm
surprised you didn't mention Rick Smits.
Yeah. Hey.
Hold on, Bob.
Yeah. Leave him fall. Leave him fall.
To go.
All the chunky stuff is left fall.
Then I get to go.
Already. Well, go ahead, Paul. It's on you, man.
Man, I'm going to give you some guys that Mike Williams, man. Dallas Carter's finest, baby.
Oh.
I think at the time he was like one of the he had the most consecutive free throws in the league at like 70 something, remember? And choked on one that it was heartbreaking. But Mike Williams, Dallas Carter, high school's finest, man, and I had a great career with them in Minnesota. They were, he had them in the playoffs all the time. I
remember him in Minnesota. He was the truth.
Yeah. So I definitely thought I had to mention my guy Michael Williams, even though I'm a Kimball Knight. We don't really talk too much about Carter people, but I did have to shout him out. How about the famous, because I'm a DJ, man. I like music, man. What about the best bass playing brother in the NBA ever of all time? Who was it?
Wayman Tisdale, wasn't it?
Bam, boy, you good.
Hercules.
I just did a story on him not too long ago.
That's good, Mike, man. That's good, man. I used to love his CDs, man. I still play some of his songs till this day. I loved him, but who's the best center you really think that they really had? I know you said Rick Smith. How about Roy Hibbert, man?
Roy Hibbert was not bad. I don't think he was the best center in my opinion, though.
He got paid like he was.
Yeah, I think Dale Davis was the best center.
Dale is a center. I like him at the power forward spot.
Yeah, I mean they played him at both positions, but mainly at the center because he plays center more than power forward.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I like Dale Davis, man. I definitely want to say my guy who current Indiana Pacer right now, Miles Turner.
He's a local, ain't he?
Irving Trinity High School. Yeah. My son had the pleasure of playing with him for Texas Select, playing with him. Excuse me, not playing for him, but playing with him at Texas Select during those his AAU years, man. So to see him where he's at, I mean, great story behind that kid there, man. Was hurt his sophomore year and junior year, pretty much. He broke his fibula or something, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Crazy part was he grew I think it was about 5 inches. In that 1 year he got hurt. And instead of being 6'3", he was like 6'8". and could shoot the ball. That's why he can, that's why you see him shooting threes right now. He was originally a guard, man. And so, when you end up shooting that many inches, man, and you still got that jump shot like that, then by all means, you definitely want to have a guy like that can stretch the floor, right? You don't need him in the post. Like Paul would say, get in there on, but I ended up bringing another kid in there to help do the post for them, and that was Mark.
Do you think he'd have been a benefit for the Mavericks? Because I know the Mavericks kind of looking at him during the off season. What was the Mavericks would have to give
better than street clothes right now? I know that's probably not not a very popular thing for me to say right now because everybody loves the unibrow guy. Yeah. I call him street clothes because he's always in street clothes. He's never healthy.
In LA, they call him Mr. Glass. So hey,
and that's what he is, man. You just give me a guy that's gonna play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not gonna be hurt all the time, man. And that's how I am. A guy that really wants it. Not every now and then need to have a whole bunch of celebrities, Beyonce and them at the game for you to perform. I need a dude that's gonna do it night in and night out. And I'm not saying that Miles Turner is that kind of dude. You know what I'm saying? You just got to get guys like that. You know what I'm saying? More guys like that, I think. And that's part of what makes the Pacers go right now because they have guys like that can step up at any moment. And you just need guys like that with the Mavericks. We got to stop focusing in so much on all this star power and start getting guys that can play. You can,
What about Mark Jackson for the Indiana Pacers when he played?
I was going to get to that if y'all left that on the table.
That was going to be my number one guy.
Hand down, man down. He was rookie of the year for the Pacers.
I was just going to say that too. I had that already set up right there, Mike.
But nobody's mentioning the one common denominator between the Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. And he played for the Pacers and got hurt after a dunk on I think it was on the Olympics.
Yeah.
No, that was in Vegas.
Yeah. Paul George.
Vegas on that.
Paul George,
yeah. But no, Mark Jackson, man, I wanted to bring him up because of, the coaching aspect. Mm-hmm. He was the one that started the Golden State. He put that team and he didn't get to go to, he built the choir up. He just didn't get to go to Sunday morning and get to direct the choir.
And I was going to ask your thoughts on that too, man, because I really thought he would have been the one to win that championship instead of Steve Kerr.
I don't know what he did. He did something or said something that
kind of like an A.B. Johnson situation.
Yeah, something happened behind the scenes because he still hadn't got a job, as a coach ever since then. And it's crazy for me because, everybody knows he put that team together. Everybody knows that. No denying that. How come somebody else wouldn't want to bring in a guy that knows how to do that?
Yeah.
And Paul,
something happened, and there must have been some real stuff that happened. Yes, sir.
And Paul, you said everybody knows he put that team together.
Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows he was developing that squad.
Everybody knows that.
So he told somebody to stay in their lane.
Yeah.
Right, then he's out.
Yeah.
That's basically as much as I can say.
Is that like the senator yesterday getting calling that?
No, Paul, one more thing too, man. When
I have one more, Mike. I have one more.
All right, let me ask Paul this question real quick though. With Danny Granger and Paul George playing together, them two was a dynamic duo at the time before Paul got hurt. Or was it Danny Granger got hurt first, right?
Granger got hurt first, and then Paul George went out.
What are your thoughts on them two at the time? Because they was something.
They were killing it. I mean, they were hard to defend, that's for sure. But I didn't think Danny Granger could defend though. He
was nice, especially when he went to Memphis.
You think he could defend? I thought he was.
I mean, not as good as Paul George, but they was together. They played really well, kind of like Tatum and Brown.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't really look at them a whole lot like that. I just thought, man, the offensive power that they can put up together. But I didn't know if he could defend. I knew Paul George could defend. He was a two-way player kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really think that much of Danny Granger as a two-way player like Paul George was. But they could have had something special, man. I mean, before he tore that, I mean, that was such a gruesome injury, man.
When he hit that back. I seen it in real time.
And how could that, how he hit it on the lower box from it? That's crazy.
Yeah, sorry that. Man, feel bad for him at the time, but he came back, man. He played very well. He got a lot of money for
great career after that. Yes, didn't he? He slowed himself down too, though. His pace, ended up slowing down, and to be that created longevity for him. I think. I mean, sometimes when people figure it out, that it's not about just speed, and then when you learn to get at your own pace,
yes.
It's a moneymaker right there, man. Go ahead, Bob.
He's looking good in the offseason. I just saw him do a double crossover like you were talking about earlier on film.
He always does that during this time of the year.
Yeah.
What you got, Bob?
We would be remiss if we didn't talk about this player when it comes to the Pacers. He was my other choice. Nobody mentioned Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
Let me fly through his career stats.
We all choked on that one.
18.2 points
Halliburton did the same thing.
3 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game. 18 years in the league, all with the Indiana Pacers.
Thanks.
104 million career earnings. He was only an All-Star 5 times.
18 years?
Out of 18 years.
Yeah. Three-time third-team All-NBA. Yeah.
3-time All-NBA. 5 times he led the league in free throw percentage. 5 times free throw percentage.
Wow.
He barely missed the 40, 50, 90 club 3 times. As Wild Dog said, 3-time All-NBA, 2-time MVP voting shares. 93 and 97. He led the league and made 3-pointers.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you the numbers. I'm going to give you the numbers for those 2 years, and you're going to go, what? Because Tim Hardaway Jr. has broken both of these multiple times. In 93, he led the league with 162 3-pointers.
Dang, kind of like Steph Curry numbers.
In 97, he led the league with 229 3-pointers.
Yeah.
That's
Tim
Steph
Hardaway
Curry numbers.
Game was changing.
Tim Hardaway Jr. has had 250 or more 3-pointers 4 times in his career.
Mm.
So
and that's weird you say that, Tim Hardaway Jr., because he takes himself as a 3-point shooter, but it's just something
he's streaky. He's streaky, but I mean, Reggie Miller gets a lot of props. Of course, nobody mentioned Ron Artest. He was right in the middle with the malice for the power.
Yeah.
So, Paul, we're going to
before he became meta world peace.
And who's gonna let Paul finish off with his thoughts on the Indiana Pacers? Is there anything else you want to add to it before we chime out?
The current Indiana Pacers, man, I hope they win it.
Yeah, facts.
I know the league don't want it.
Yeah.
Deep down inside, I think they wanted OKC to win it, but I think the shift has changed a little bit to where people are wanting to see the Pacers actually get this done. How can you not like the guy that and honestly, all the other guys in the league said that he is the most overrated player in the league in Halliburton.
Halliburton, yeah.
The beautiful smile. You know what I'm saying? He's a pretty boy. He's like, light-skinned brother. I got to get down for that. He just he plays the game the right way, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I like guys like that want to prove to you can call me what you want to call me, but know that when I'm done playing you, I'm coming out with a W. I'd like that kind of guy, man. And Halliburton is that kind of guy for me, man. And like I said, I like Rick Carlisle. I'm hoping they get that done. Nice. Don't get me wrong. My boy Casey Wallace is with OKC, man. And don't get me wrong. I like SGA. He's a great player, man. I got mad respect for him and Jay Williams. Golly, man, how can you not like what they're doing? I'm not a big fan of Chet Holmgren, though, man. It just something looks. I don't know. I'm not gonna go there with him, but they got a good squad, man. They complement each other so well, man. And these two teams were destined to collide like this, y'all. I was telling people throughout that whole process that it was going to end up being them because they do what? They defend, they push the ball, and they defend again. You know what I'm saying? I can't emphasize defense. I mean, how many times in the league do we see teams really playing defense? You know what I'm saying? I said it earlier about the championship game is the most exhausting games of the playoffs because this is the most defense that you're going to play in when you play in the league. And the announcer said that the other day as well. So, I'm just excited, to see, such a small market team like Indiana, get this opportunity, especially seeing them take out the Knicks was like heaven to me. I can't see the Knicks, man. So, but I like the Knicks. I like the chances for the Lakers. So
I appreciate that, guys. It's been a great show, man. We're gonna chime it out, man. Paul, again, thank you for coming on. We're gonna get you on again, man. I appreciate you. As I said off the air, man. We love it, man.
Man, y'all gotta let me know when Key come on here, man. I hate that I missed that, man.
We'll try to get you in there.
I want to make sure that I see it. So if you could, at least I don't have to be on the show. I want to watch that one. I'm gonna go back and look at that one because, like I said, I was always a huge Kiki Vandeweghe fan, man.
That boy got some stories, man.
That broke my heart when they lost to Louisville, man. I was a little bitty kid. I forget. I was like, I think it might have been the 8th grade, 7th grade. And that crushed my feelings, man. I just knew he was gonna, they were gonna get that done, man. But so that's a good pick. And like I said, I'll get on those other guys, man, about getting Jermaine O'Neal and a couple of these coaches in here, man, and talk with you guys, man. I think that's be some good stuff for them as well.
Yeah, we'll have a coach's corner. We'll set it up, and we'll go to a nice little restaurant a friend of mine owns, and we'll make it happen.
Okay. I appreciate y'all letting me on. God bless y'all. And
Wild Dog, tell the people where they can find you at in these social media streets, man. Give me your handles.
Hey, just a quick message. My son Jet says Pacers in 6.
All right, Jet. Appreciate you.
I thought the number was 5. Lakers in 5.
Hey, he says they're gonna drop one and then finish it out.
Gotcha. Well, they're up right now.
I don't be doing too much. You can find, Swish for Real on YouTube. So that's where I'm at on YouTube, at Wild Dog 357. Again, that's on YouTube. Wild DOG 357 doing sports commentary, So catch me in the comments. You like a video, you got something to say, just get it off your chest. I nibble, I don't bite. So, I'll meet you out there and we can have a conversation. All right, blessings to
Boogie
you.
Bob, tell the people where they can find you on these social media streets, man. Give them your handles.
Well, on YouTube, Boogie Bob, My subscription base has tripled over the last week, so you can catch me there. But you can always catch me at Swish for real.
Just for real. And our esteemed guest, Paul, the Real Talk Nation. Tell these people where they can find you out on social media streets, man, so they can catch up with you.
Definitely on YouTube, the Real Talk Nation. You can find me there. Twitter, Paul M, capital D for DA, Real Talk, and then the Real Talk Nation on Instagram. So those are all my socials that you can find me on. I'll let you boy.
Yes, sir. And we'll put his links in the description, so it'll be easy just to click it and go right to where his social media accounts are. And you can always find me here on Swish for Real, guys. You know, I love the show. We're growing faster and faster. We appreciate our guests coming on, man. You guys, I'm gonna give you weekends back. Swish for Real. And again, Paul, we got your shirt ordered. It's gonna be here in maybe a couple of days, and we'll get together, guys.
Okay.
All right, guys, have a great evening. Swish for Real. We are out. Peace.
That's it, Pray.